Hello and welcome back to another video. So recently, like usual, I put a poll on my community page on my YouTube channel, and the people answered that they wanted a outdoor track and field photography video. So I've covered it multiple times. I'm trying to find new ways and new things to make my photos more interesting and just to kind of like get more precise with the photos that I'm taking for whatever event I am covering. And so this track meet was a tune-up, so it was a smaller track meet, and I was able to jump around and get to almost all of the events. And the one thing I wanted to try out at this track meet was using a remote setup. So recently I purchased the Pocket Wizard Plus X remote system off of B&H, and I just had to get this Pocket Wizard plug cable to hook it into a camera. So this one with the cable would go into the remote camera, which I put on a flat plate like this with a ball head tripod holding the camera, and I stuck the 24-70 on that setup, and that allowed me to get some lower angles while I use the 70-200 or the 300 on the camera in my hands. Now the cool thing about this is I was able to put this into the hot shoe of the camera that I was using in my hands, and anytime I took a photo, it would remote this camera to take photos at the same time. So I was able to get straight on shots with the longer lens in my hand and also get wide and lower shots with this at the same time. This allowed me to get some low shots at long jump, some low and up shots to the pole vault. And so the only event that I didn't get to try it out at was high jump. I missed high jump this week. But other than that, I used it mostly at long jump and sprints and hurdles, just to give me a second angle if I didn't like the angle that I was getting with my long lens, and also just try it out and see how well it worked. Now, when I first started, I forgot to put this camera in burst mode, so it was taking like 1 to 2 photos every time I was bursting on the camera in my hand. So that did cause me to miss some of the key moments that I was trying to capture, but luckily I had a second camera, the one in my hands, and I was able to capture those moments. So I'm just gonna play some music, and we're gonna roll through the 80 or so images that I captured that day, and I might jump in for a few comments here or there. So here we go. So no remote work on these first few images. We are out at the weight throw, hammer throw, throwing section. And so I'm using my 300 here and cropped in, because even at 300, I'm still pretty far out. So I got a handful of those because I needed to. And then I got men's javelin as well. These are shot with a 300, no remote. And then I make it to the track. So we have a long jump going on. As you can see, these are straight on with the 70-200. I put the 300 away after throwing events for the most part of the day, and then we get into some remote work on the long jump, just trying to figure out what angle I want to use it at. And yeah, so it came in very handy to give that second angle a little something different. Then we make it over to pole vault. So pole vault, I'm usually sitting halfway between the jump and the starting point, so I can kind of pan with them. And then I have the remote down at the bottom of the mat, zoomed in a little bit though. I'm not shooting at 24, I'm shooting a little closer to about 50 to 35. And I kind of just move around there. So then we go down to hurdles. I'm shooting on one side, I have the remote on the other side. Some of these I didn't really like, so I didn't share too many, but there are a couple in there. And so it's a good angle if you can get it set up properly. I was working a little fast because I was running behind a little bit. setting it here at the finish line, you can see the finish line post. So I'm shooting tight shots with the 70-200 or the 300. I did pull the 300 out again. And then I have the wide angle down low to get some of those other shots. And we get past the prelims and back to hurdles again. And I just choose a better angle this time around and then make it to the women's pole vault. I do get a few remote shots in here, but most part I'm using the 70-200 to get some tight shots and some panning shots when they're running. So it was a good overall day, good cloud coverage, so the exposure was easy to contain and kind of keep my settings the same all day. And then shooting straight up wasn't too bad into the sky for these low shots on pole vault either. So one thing I wish I could have tried out was getting the remote set up for block starts on these sprints. I just didn't have enough time, so I just ran over there with a camera. I was waiting on another event, and then fighting a migraine was putting me a little behind too. So I didn't get some of the shots that I wanted to try out, but I might be traveling pretty soon for one of their out-of-town meets, and I'll be able to try that out at the championship. So we shall see. Here I did pull out the 300 for some of these sprints at the end here, just to get me some tighter shots since the finish line is a little further out. And then the last race here, I'm working with the 300 as well to kind of isolate him out. So overall, I really liked using the remote system. I'm going to be trying to incorporate that into my other sports that I cover for the school. I would like to figure out a way to use it for basketball, whether that be up in the backboard or maybe coming off of the pole up and around and kind of get around the cushion a little bit and get under the basket. But usually I'm sitting under the basket, so it wouldn't be much of a difference. But I'm going to try to find other ways to try to use that. We will have soccer next year, so I'm definitely going to be rigging this up in the goal, well behind the goal, and hopefully up high so I can get some cool goalie save shots or whatever it may be. I'm just going to try to get comfortable with it and use it more often as possible with any sport, really. It's pretty cool to have something like this, and I've been trying to do it for a while, and I've been holding back. So it was a fun weekend at track to try it out, and I really enjoyed some of these images that came from it. But with that said, I'd appreciate it if you would like, subscribe, leave a comment down below if you've ever used a remote system or if you have any ideas that you would like to see me try out. But with that said, I will see you all next time.